on that way I won't forget.
Okay, yeah, I will confirm with the parents.
Okay.
Get back to you later.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
And that way I won't forget.
Okay.
And just to let you know, I am doing like I'm open to doing like college essay writing clinics for kids that are interested and other things like that. So
Yeah, how about that? The class will start soon. Yeah, we'll talk about it later on.
yeah, so yeah, exactly. And also SAT in the reading and writing section, I'm interested in doing that as well. If people
after this class, so 90 minutes later, I'll
okay.
get back. Yeah, I'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Melinda. Okay, Melinda, we're going to start promptly at 3:05. I just want to make sure that we have everybody that wants to be here it can join. So I'm going to go grab a drink of water. In the meantime, though, go ahead and share your answers in the chat for these 3 questions. We're going to be starting a little poetry, writing about poetry unit.
Hello.
I'm getting some water. Hi, Ethan. I don't think I know you. My name's Mrs. Pillow. Hi, Matthew. Happy New Year. Philip, do you know how many students are in this class? Is it the same?
Oh yeah, sorry. There will be some new students. Some will be kind of a trial. So
Okay.
those students you are not familiar, could you ask them to introduce themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can go ahead and get started here. Melinda and Ethan, if you're able to turn your camera on, please do. That just makes class a little more interactive. And I prefer being able just to see everybody since we're on the internet. Thank you. All right, my name is Mrs. Pillow. I know Matthew and Melinda from last semester. Hello, good to see you again. Matthew, you got a haircut?
Yeah, today.
Okay, why don't you introduce yourself and maybe talk about what was your favorite thing you did over the holiday break? Okay, Melinda, you go first.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I went to Las Vegas, which is in Nevada, over the winter break for 1 week, and it was really fun. There were a lot of casinos, there were a lot of lights, there were a lot of shows. It was really fun.
Did you see shows?
Yeah, there are a lot of like these light shows.
Okay, cool. Did you go and see like a concert?
Not really, no.
No. And obviously you're too young to gamble.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too young too.
When you're 18, you'll be hitting those slots. Just kidding. Don't do that. Gambling.
No,
Gambling is a waste of money.
I'll be too broke to do that.
Okay. Ethan, Same question to you. Name, and then what is your favorite thing you did over holiday break?
My name is Ethan, and my favorite thing I did over a holiday break was go to LA.
Okay. What did
Wait.
you do in LA?
Never mind. Sacramento.
Oh, okay. What did you do in Sacramento?
I visited some friends I haven't seen in a long time.
Cool. My mom and my dad were both born in Sacramento, very weirdly. Okay, Matthew.
Well, I basically stayed home and I also went to the gym with my dad and we played basketball there and ran a lot.
Cool.
We also watched the Jason Bourne movie,
Which one?
the Identity one.
Okay, you know there are like 3 other ones.
Yeah, we watched the first one.
Okay, you got to complete the trilogy now.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
Cool.
4 of them, I think, at least 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my name is Mrs. Pillow, or Kirsty is my first name, but you can call me Mrs. Pillow, like what you sleep on. And my favorite thing that I did over the holiday break was we took my daughter to the zoo. My husband and I took our daughter to the zoo, and she really likes looking at the spider monkeys because they're really interactive. So she was getting very excited about that. Okay. So we have some questions here in the chat. I want you just to put your thinking cap on and type out your answer to all 3 of these in the chat. And I'm going to give you, let's do a minute per bullet. No, that's too long. Let's do 2 minutes total starting now. And then at 2 minutes, just press enter, even if you're not done. All right. On your marks, get set, go. And hi, Grace, welcome. We are answering these 3 questions on the board very quickly in the chat. I'm not looking for the perfect quote unquote answer. I'm just looking for your thoughts. Grace, if you're able to turn your camera on, please do so. It'll make class a little more interactive. Really good circular definition there, Matthew. Poetry is poetry, lol. Okay. Okay, interesting. Last 20 seconds. All right, and press enter with whatever you have. Make sure that it is a public and not direct message to me. Thank you. All right. And Grace, before we start talking about this, why don't you come off mute and tell us about, just say your name and then say your favorite thing you did over the break, which was like 4 weeks ago, but think all the way back. Okay. I'm not sure if Grace is eating pumpkin pie right now, so I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. Okay. Poetry and prose. Let's go with Melinda. What do you think?
I think poetry is a lot more like you try to writing a poem, and this poem most of the time it expresses like an idea or feeling and tries to make the reader feel emotions or like deeply think. And it
Hmm.
usually has like lines. It's like a line, not like a stereotypical like paragraph.
Yes. Okay. Anything to add? Anyone? You can come off mute. Poetry versus prose.
Oh, sometimes poetry has like a rhyme or a meter to it, but
Yep.
but prose is just like talking.
Does it
Like,
have to have a meter to it or rhyming, Matthew?
no, but often
No. Okay. Let's move on. What do you think is the purpose of poetry, Ethan?
I think the purpose of poetry is to like paint a vivid picture in someone's head.
Okay, that kind of connects to the last question. So I'm going to keep you on the spot, Ethan. So why would they want to paint a picture in someone's head rather than just tell it in a paragraph?
So like the reader could visualize and understand like the writing more.
Okay, I like that answer. Anything to add there, Grace? Just going to put you on the spot. No? All right, we'll come back to you, Grace. We'll get you warmed up here. Why write poetry instead of prose? What did you say, Melinda?
I think a lot of times in poetry, it makes the reader maybe think that there's a deeper meaning to this. You think about it with more emotion.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Matthew, anything to add there? Same thing, similar thing. Okay. The way I think of poetry is like English, but just boiled down into the most concentrated form. Do any of you drink those orange juice, frozen orange juice in a can? You know what I'm talking about? You get them in the freezer aisle at the grocery store and you pour them in a pitcher, but then you have to add water to it. Anybody know what I'm talking about here? No? No? Man, that might be like a 90s thing. I might be showing how old I am here. Okay, well, there's this super concentrated stuff. And if you just drink that, it is like really, really strong. So you have to pour water in it. And I like to think of poetry as almost like a juice concentrate. Like it is powerful, it is potent, it is extremely succinct, meaning short, gets its point across. And I like what you said, Ethan. It makes you really think about the visual of what you're reading. So, am I going to get you to write poetry? Maybe not today. Maybe not. You'll find out in a moment. So stay tuned. All right. Go ahead and log into this Google Classroom if you haven't already. Matthew, you don't suck at poetry. You think you suck at poetry.
Oh,
but you
I've
don't
tried doing
know.
it. I've tried doing it. I'm terrible at it.
Okay. Ethan, do you know how to log into Google Classroom and join?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to just drop the code in the chat and we're going to move on because Melinda and Matthew are already in that same spot. Okay, so this semester, we're going to be doing 12 weeks. I'd love to do 16, but we're only going to do 12 because if you remember, I'm having a baby in May. So I don't want to get too close to when I'm going to have a baby because sometimes babies come out when they want. So we're not going to tempt fate. The first 4 weeks, we're going to be doing a literary analysis. So you'll be reading poems and you'll be writing an essay. Sorry, Matthew. But now that I know how much you hate writing poetry, you've kind of given me an idea to make you write some. So thank you for that. And then we're going to do some rhetorical analysis on speeches. We previewed that a little bit last semester. And then we're going to end with a project, and you're going to be writing your own original speech, which you will be declaiming to the class. It's going to be great. Okay, our focus today, can you read our focus, Matthew?
Structural choices in poetry.
Yeah, so we're just going to be looking at poems today and talking about them in preparation for a poetry analysis essay that you'll be writing starting next week. Okay, so the poem here is called The Passionate Shepherd to His Love. I'm going to be talking a little bit here, and I just want you to kind of pay attention and learn. It'll be great. So The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe. This poem was written in 1599, so it is extremely old. And this poem is a type of pastoral poetry. It's the original English love poem, and it's set in the countryside. So this is like a genre of poetry that was very popular, especially during the Elizabethan era when Shakespeare was writing. So pastoral poetry is all about the natural world, the countryside, the beauty of nature, love, romance, perfect for Valentine's Day. Okay, the thing that's interesting about poetry, though, is poets like to read each other. And so we're going to be tackling over the next 4 weeks. The first poem is we're going to read by this guy, Christopher Marlowe, who I, Mrs. Pillow, kind of find, he's sort of attractive to me, seems kind of cute. Can y'all see my annotations?
Yeah.
You can? Good. All right. Sir Walter Raleigh the next year read Christopher Marlowe's poem and decided to write a poem in response. So we're going to read both of those poems today. And then this guy, William Carlos Williams, read both of their poems and a full 300 years later decided to write another response to those poems. There's a fancy word for this. It's called intertextuality. Have any of you ever heard of that before? No, it's your lucky day, because I'm teaching you a word you'd probably learn senior year of high school or in college. So basically, what intertextuality means is texts having conversations with each other. Okay. So these three guys are going to be in conversation across centuries with each other. And as you can see, it also shows up a lot in art. So this is Beyonce with intertextuality, showing intertextuality with this painting, The Birth of Venus. There's a painting on the left, same thing, 21st century intertextual moment with a painting from the 17th century. All right, so back to these guys. Marlowe is a classic British poet. And the difference between him and this guy, Raleigh left England and he went to North America. Sorry, I've got like dust in my house or something. So this is important to know because Raleigh is going to be reading this guy's poem and he's thinking, you know what? I've been to America. I've sailed halfway around the world. And I actually have a way more enlightened sense of the world right now. So he doesn't really like classic flowery sentiments. He's kind of like a bold explorer poet guy. And then William Carlos Williams is completely different. He wasn't born in England. He was from Puerto Rico, lived in America. He just kind of, I think, was interested in pastoral poetry. I'm not sure why he got invested in these two guys. All right. So pastoral poetry, like I said, is like the original romantic poem. So I just want you to think for a second, what are all the things people do to impress someone that they have a crush on? What are some things they do? Yeah, you can just raise your hand or you can come off mute and say.
Wear good clothes and have good manners.
Okay. Did you say give hugs?
No, I said wear good clothes.
Okay, good clothes, good manners. Okay, Melinda?
I don't have experience in this, so I don't know.
Okay, but you've seen a movie before. What do people do in movies?
They give a gift or something.
Okay. Ethan?
Give chocolate.
Okay. Gifts, chocolate. Maggie? Or Caitlin, either of you? I think you just joined.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay. That's honest. I appreciate that. All right. And Maggie and Caitlin, if you're able to turn your cameras on, that's going to make class so much better. Because it'll just help us interact with each other a little bit more. Okay. So I really like some of these answers. Good manners, giving a gift. Let's keep that at the back of our mind. Okay. If you're just joining, please go ahead and join our Google Classroom because I would like everyone to go there right now. We're going to get started reading this poem, our first poem by Christopher Marlowe. Maggie and Caitlin, do you know how to join Google Classroom with a code? Okay, you can type in the chat, yes or no. All right, we ready, y'all? Just give me a quick thumbs up if you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Good. Everyone has theirs up. Okay, good. Because you're going to be answering questions 1 through 7 after this. Okay, let's start with The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe. Okay, who wants to read? Does anybody feel a burning passion to read this pastoral poem? Ethan, I feel like you can, no, you don't want to? Okay. Matthew, you want to? Okay, go for it, Matthew.
I'm The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe. Come live with me and be my love. Oh, I read the whole thing.
You could read the first 3 stanzas. So these are stanzas, these little sections of lines.
Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove that valleys, groves, hills, and fields, woods or steepy mountain yields. There we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing magic calls. I will make thee beds of roses and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle embroidered all with leaves of myrtle.
Thank you. A gown made of the finest wool from which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Okay, interesting. I don't know how much experience people have with poetry. Does anybody know what the rhyme scheme is? We look at the last words and then we look for what repeats.
It's like AABB.
It's AABB. Can you explain why it's AABB, Matthew?
So love sounds like they end in like the OVE sound. And so for the B part, they end in IELD, and it sounds similar.
Yeah. So AABB is our rhyme scheme. All right. Couple other things. Madrigal is like a courtly song from this time period. And then a kirtle is a dress. So he's going to make her a beautiful dress made out of leaves. Okay. He does have a lot of rhyme, Matthew. Melinda, would you be convinced by this poem? Like this guy's gonna take care of you? You'd go? Why why not?
Because this was written in like 1600s. I don't speak speak like that. So
Okay. But what about the gifts he's going to give you? The
nah,
fragrant beds of roses, posies.
no, thank you.
Okay, great. That's honest. Yeah, it does sound a little uncomfortable. I agree with you. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do right now is go ahead and scroll down, and I'm going to give you, let's say 10 minutes, and I'll be in your Google Docs. Today, we're actually not going to be doing any essay writing. We're just prepping for our essay because remember, we have 3 poems to read. So I want to make sure we're analyzing the poetry well before we start writing about it. Okay. 10 minutes, 1 through 7. Ethan, Caitlin, and Maggie, you don't really know me very well yet. I like to look as you're working, so I will be giving you feedback. And you can go ahead and get started, and then we're going to discuss. Okay, Ethan, I have you. Are your Ethan spelled backwards, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I see you've got it. Matthew's there. Caitlin, are you able to join the Google Classroom? Okay, thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate that. I'll send you a quick message. Good. Ethan, I would just add to that for number 1, what is the shepherd trying to convince this woman of? What's he trying to convince her to do? All right. Thank you, Caitlin. I'm going to send you your document right now. About 6 more minutes. I'm gonna start giving feedback now. Good work, Melinda. You see that those two ideas are connected, Melinda, even though it's on a new line. Good, Ethan. That's right, Ethan. Oh, that's right, Melinda. Ooh, I've got people in the chat direct chatting me, asking for feedback. I love that. Beautiful, Matthew. I like your answer to number 4. I do not like your answer to number 1. Go back and tweak that. All right, 7 is my challenge question. That's one we're going to be talking about a lot. So think a little bit about the point of alliteration. It's cool to pick it out, but why use it? What's the effect? Melinda, just move on to number 4, okay? You're good. You're good. Caitlin, are you good on the did you access the classwork yet? Let me see if I can share you my Google Docs link. That might help. That's my hint. Go back to the parts where you see alliteration, Matthew, and then try and figure out what he's trying to draw her attention to there. Mm-hmm. Cool, I see you. Thank you, Caitlin. All right, let's talk about this. It's okay if you're not done, but I want to make sure we have enough time to get to the second poem. And I want to talk about this. So as we are talking, if you hear something that you think you didn't put in your essay or in your document here, please, please, please add it, okay? Because I'm seeing a lot of partially correct answers, but you might actually hear a part of an answer that will help you flesh out what you want to say, okay? So be typing as you hear things people are saying. Okay, central idea of the poem. Let's go with Ethan. Ethan had a very strong one.
A shepherd is writing to the person he loves. He is trying to convince the woman to come with him and be his love.
Good. Ethan, I want you to add one more thing. How is he trying to convince her? By doing what?
By giving her a lot of gifts.
By giving her gifts. Exactly. Okay, so if you don't have that in your central idea, I would add that. Okay, what pleasures are going to await them? This is number 2. Where do they come from? Let's go with Matthew on this one.
For number 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like he has like a whole bunch of like pleasures that he will make for her, and they all have to do with like nature and the outdoors.
Okay, what are the pleasures for him specifically?
Like there's like a lot of there's like a bed, and there's like a cap of flowers and a kirtle, and there's like a gown, there's slippers, and a whole bunch of other clothing. And then
Clothing?
and there's like shepherds, and then there's like music from birds.
Good, yeah. So they're going to be listening to some music. I would definitely add that. And then this whole section is the bed and then the clothes that he's going to make for her out of stuff. All right, everyone pretty much did an amazing job on the chart, so we don't really need to go over that, but he's making her a lot of things out of natural items. Okay, let's move on to number 4. So thinking about this chart that you filled out, what's the relationship between love and nature here? Let's go with Melinda. For number 4.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So he tries to connect he wants to connect the loves and pleasures to the natural world around them with beauty and pleasure.
So if you love me, you'll be around the beautiful nature. It'll be pleasurable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else? What did you say for number 4, Ethan?
They're one and the same, and the shepherd shows his love with nature, and love is in his nature.
Okay. There's similar ideas for him. Matthew, what did you say for number 4?
Well, I wrote that like nature provides an environment where love can flourish.
Ooh, I like that answer. An environment where love can flourish. Why can love flourish in nature for the shepherd?
Well, there's like a lot of nice scenery and like a lot of nice stuff in nature.
Yep. So I would add it's beautiful. Definitely what Melinda said about the beauty. It's a place where love can flourish. I would add that if you did not have that. It's also a place where there is freedom. Maybe this woman's family doesn't want her to go with the shepherd, but if she's out there and no one knows where they are, they can just have a lot of fun in nature together. There's freedom. There's peace. I saw Matthew wrote that in a document. There's a lot of different things that nature can represent. Okay. It's also nature is a place, if you notice, he's making things out of nature. So nature is a place that provides comfort, like bodily comfort for humans. So for Marlowe and for this shepherd, I would be adding this to your answer to number 4. Nature is a place that you engage in. It's a place that you use to make things for yourself. And your relationship with nature is very close. You use nature to make your life better. The natural world. Okay, what techniques are in this poem? I want to make sure I call on everybody. What did you notice, Melinda, in this poem?
I noticed he used a lot of imagery.
Example of imagery?
If you look here, like, let me find it. He uses a lot of describing words to describe. So for example, he says like a gown made of the finest wool.
Oh, in line 4 or in stanza 4? Okay.
Yeah.
And you said
And-
that was imagery?
Yeah, he also uses metaphors, which there's one which is like let me find it.
I'm trying to
Like
write.
when he compares like the objects, he says something about like birds singing. I forgot what line it was.
This is in stanza 2, to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not really a metaphor though. That's more imagery of what's happening.
Okay.
These birds are kind of, they're sitting on these rocks watching shepherds, and these birds are just sort of serenading them and the rivers, if that makes sense.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other techniques that he used, Ethan?
I don't have any.
Okay. Matthew, any other literary techniques you saw?
Well, there was alliteration.
Okay. Yep. Can you
And
give me some examples of alliteration? Like we can make that roll into the next question as well.
there was live, love on the at the first stanza.
Yep.
Then there was shepherd, swing, sing. I think
Yep.
that was on the last stanza.
Oh, whoops. I'm in stanza 2 here. Let me go. Stanza 6. Shepherds,
Swing.
swains,
Sing, yeah.
sing. Okay.
Is mind move.
Mind may move. Ooh.
And that's the alliteration. And there's also like a rhyme and meter.
There's rhyme and meter. I would write rhyme down if you didn't have it. There's a meter, which means it's got like a flow to it. If any of you are into rap, you know how rap has a flow. There's a meter. Okay, thank you, Matthew. That's good. Did anyone notice an example of repetition? There's a lot. Ethan, you want to take a whack at where the repetition is? Word to everyone, try not to ever write with the annotation tool. It's really bad. It's so hard. Do you notice? Okay, Ethan, did you notice any repetition with the first line?
The first line?
Yeah, did you notice that repeating anywhere?
Oh yeah, and the first line and the last line of the 5th stanza are the same.
Exactly. There's also may thee move and mind may move. That's a little bit of repetition there. Similar. Okay. All right. Repetition, alliteration, imagery, rhyme, meter. Add that to your answer if you did not have all of those. Excellent job.
Isn't
go
there
ahead.
also there's something I learned in a different class. I think it's called like it's like an exaggeration for like a statement. I forgot what it's called.
Hyperbole.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, where's the hyperbole?
He says something about like, let me find, he says like I will 1,000 fragrant posies, which is like an
Ooh,
exaggeration.
exactly. That's exaggeration. We're going to use the fancy word for it. It's called hyper. It looks like hyperbole, but it's pronounced hyperbole. This guy is not going to pick 1,000 posies to make a bed of roses with her. For her. I agree. That is exaggeration. I also don't know where he's going to get the gold to make the buckles for the shoes. I have questions about that. Have you, Matthew? That's some passionate shepherd energy. 10,000 balloons. It's also really bad for the environment. Okay. Excellent job on the literary techniques. I'm glad. I hope everybody added to theirs. Hold on. Oh. And I have them up on the board here in case you forgot what we were just talking about. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to start getting a little more into our analysis here. So those are all the examples that we see. And we saw Matthew generously provided the alliteration in question 6 here. What's the effect of using all of this alliteration? There's actually a lot in this of repeating initial sounds. And anyone can come off mute for this. This is kind of open-ended here. Effect is a lot harder than just identifying it.
Well, maybe he's trying to look impressive, and like with all this alliteration, like it kind of like represents like pleasure and stuff like that.
How does it represent pleasure? That's an interesting idea.
Like basically this whole poem is like talking about, well, if you hang out with me, I'm gonna give you a bunch of nice stuff, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so,
like that. Yeah. And it's impressive. He's not going to just say, come over here, girl. Look at this curdle that I made for you. He's going to try and make it sound nice so that she's enticed. Okay. That's a good idea. It's impressive. Think about this too. How is he trying? He's being a little bit suggestive. I don't want to spell it out too much, but there's a reason why he's using alliteration here in the L sound in the beginning. Let me get a different color here. Come live with me and be my love. Live with me and be my love. What does that sound like he's trying to make her think of? Live with me. Anybody go? He's trying to make her think of kissing him a little bit. And then here, mind may move like, it's just pleasurable sounds. The M is very like, it's a nice sound. You're going, I feel comfortable. I'm happy here. Okay. Oops, I accidentally crossed that out. I meant to circle it. Okay, so the alliteration is kind of like suggesting for her the sounds of the pleasure that they will have here out in nature. Okay. Is this getting a little too risque? Okay. Okay. All right. So the use of alliteration is developing the central idea because he's trying to lure her out into nature. He's trying to take her out into this place where they can be free to express themselves and live and love with their kisses, etc. Okay. Does that help for number 7? I'm going to give you like a minute to sort of revise your answer for that one. And I'm going to look at what people are writing for that. Like he's saying, live with me, love me. And she's going, my mind is moved. I'm enjoying myself, Mr. Shepherd.
So we're supposed to read the second poem now?
Are you completely done with your answers?
I think so.
Good. Add a little bit more there, Ethan. You're right, but just add us a little bit more. Like the L sounds, the M sounds are emphasizing the pleasure that will happen out in nature. Okay. Good, good, good. I'm really pleased with the answers we have here. You guys are doing a great job. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you think Sir Walter Raleigh. So Sir Walter Raleigh wrote a poem that's literally a response to this. And he decided to do it from the woman's perspective. He made it to be a nymph, which is like a beautiful water spirit living out in nature. So give me a thumbs up if you think, yes, the nymph is going to be into this proposal to come out and live with him. Middle, if you're like, maybe. Thumbs down if you think he's going to get rejected.
And this was a really long time ago. I don't know if they had a lot of gold diggers back then. I don't know.
This lady is not gold digging with a shepherd. As you can see, he's making stuff out of what he finds on the ground, Melinda. Okay, he's getting 100% rejected. Okay. All right. Melinda, do you mind reading the nymph's reply for us? We're on the next page.
Okay.
You can just do the first 3 stanzas.
Like the first 3 paragraph section looking things.
Stanzas, yeah.
Oh,
Stanzas.
Okay. If all the world and love were young, all truth in every shepherd's tongue, these pretty pleasures might me move to live with thee and be thy love. Time drives the flocks from field to fold, when river rages and rocks grow cold, and Palomel becomes dumb. The rest complains of cares to come. The flowers do fade in wanton fields, to wayward winter reckoning yields a honey tongue, a heart of gal, in fancy spring, but sorrows fall.
Okay, thank you. Thy gowns, thy shoes, thy beds of roses, thy cap, thy kirtle, and thy posies soon break, soon wither, soon forgotten. In folly ripe, in reason rotten. Thy belt of straw and ivy buds, the coral clasps and amber studs, all in these no means can move to come to thee and be thy love. But youth could last and love still breed. Had joys no date, nor age no need, then these delights my mind might move to live with thee and be thy love. Interesting. I noticed in the first poem, it said, thy mind may move. And in this poem, same spot of the poem, my mind might move. Ooh. Okay. Let's just talk about this. First of all, how's she feeling about this? You can come off mute if you have an idea.
It's like the stuff you're gonna give me is gonna like eventually like break down, but and then they said there's some stuff that doesn't break down, and then I might live with thee, maybe.
Okay. I want to point out here that this poem kind of has 2 sections. So this middle section here, she's really rejecting everything that he said he was going to give her. And Matthew's right. It's breaking down. It's withering. It's forgotten. Does that make sense, y'all? And she's also saying that time drives the flocks from field to fold. So the big thing against them is time. Nature doesn't last forever. Youth doesn't last forever. Love doesn't last forever to her. You know, he's asking her to come enjoy her in the moment, but is that going to be something that's forever? She's saying, no, flowers fade. We have a springtime here, but guess what happens to spring? Eventually it turns into fall, death, decay. Okay, we're starting to understand a little bit where she's coming from. The outside parts of this poem, the first stanza and the sixth stanza, let me just number these really quickly, is a little more of like a logic puzzle here. So she starts with a big if. If all the world and love were young, and if there was truth in your tongue, meaning if you were actually someone I could trust, then I might come and live with you. And then she says, but of course, all of that is not true. You're a liar. Sorry. Someone is pointing out that was what, I don't know what that was. That was a brain fart. Okay, so she's saying, I might live with you if you were honest and if the world were young and remained young. But obviously, none of that is true. The world dies and fades away and withers away, and love is just pointless, right? And then she kind of returns back to this same idea. So there's a lot more repetition. I'm just going to write REP here. And then starts the last stanza again with this but. But had joys no date, nor age no need. So, but if we had a lot of time, then maybe I might. But we kind of realize she's setting him up clearly based on what she says here in the middle section of this poem. Being like, I might, she doesn't believe him at all. Does that make sense how she sort of couches her real thinking in the middle there? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a couple other questions here just for this time. And these are our last questions of the day. I really just want us to understand these poems. Oh, the other thing I wanted to tell you before you get started, Philomel is an allusion. This is the literary technique, is allusion, a reference to something. Allusion with an A. And Philomel was a woman in Greek mythology who was turned, she was turned into a nightingale. Okay. She's transformed into a nightingale after like a horrific incident. So Philomel becometh dumb. Dumb here, that is an old-timey word for mute, meaning you can't speak. So she's saying, and this nightingale bird, Greek mythology woman, eventually becomes mute, silent. Okay. So it's a similar idea to what is said here in stanza 2. All right, enough of that. I'm going to give you 8 minutes to work on questions 1 through 4, and then we're going to discuss again. Good. Thank you, Caitlin. Nice, Matthew. I like that you logicked that out a little bit. Good job, Caitlin. Nice work on that. Melinda, I want you to consider her use of repetition. Remember how we said the shepherd was trying to be impressive with his alliteration? Remember that? So perhaps maybe the nymph in this poem is beating him at his own game a little bit. Like, oh, you can make rhymes, I can make rhymes. About 5 more minutes and then we're going to discuss this. All right, you should be on number 3 or 4 at this point. Caitlin, are you good for do you need help with number 2? All right, let's discuss. So this use of if in line 1, talk to me about that. Well, I liked what, Caitlin, are you there? Do you want to answer it? I'm not sure if she's on with us right now. Let's go with Melinda for number 1 then.
So for number 1, the question's asking about the if. I think what the nymph or the girl is suggesting is that she was going to consider it but I think she's really smart and clever and realizes that most of what he's saying is probably exaggerated or not truthful.
What makes you think how do you know she's smart or clever? I think that's a really interesting insight.
When you read the entire thing, you can see that she kind of just reflects and deflects everything that the shepherd originally says. Like she says how nature will rot, and she also is like beating him at his own game by just rhyming and doing the exact same thing. And I think she just realizes that most of what the shepherd's saying is wrong, and his entire speech relied on lies.
Yeah, throwing it back in his face. Yeah. Okay, I love that. Also, beating him in his own game, like she uses this very fancy Greek mythology illusion. He didn't use a single illusion in his. So she's sort of like upping the level a little bit. She's just like that much more educated, that much more intelligent than him. Couple steps ahead. Good. Okay. What assertion does she make in stanza 2? Remember, stanzas 2 through 4 here are really kind of like her main argument. So what's her assertion there, Matthew?
Well, maybe it's like, you think like time passes quickly, but like she's saying like if you just stayed young, then I might come over with you. And she's like, no,
But is that ever going to happen?
no. Like
Right.
age and then they get old.
Right. Exactly. And time passes quickly. I wanted to point out here, there's a lot of imagery from field to fold. The flocks are in, there's a lot of alliteration here too. Flocks are in the field during the spring and the summer when they're eating, and then they go into the fold at nighttime during winter when the weather is harsh. So there's kind of like a springtime to fall, or like a, beautiful pastoral nature turning into darkness and death. There's a lot of imagery about his beautiful springtime pastoral poem that he set up for her. She's turning it and saying, no, there's going to be fall is coming, winter is coming, flowers are fading, the fields are going to have winter, it's going to become fall here. Okay, good. In other words, love does not last. Love does not last. Okay, number 3, repeated words or phrases in stanza 4 and 5. Ethan, what did you say for that one?
Thy. She is referring to all of the gifts the shepherd was offering. It shows that all of his gifts, of nature they might be, will fall to time. The gifts that the shepherd offers means nothing to the nymph.
Thy gowns, thy shoes. It's almost like, take it. That's your stuff. That's not mine. Yeah, I'm above it. I don't really want it. Very good. I like that answer a lot. All right, number 4, who wants to bring it home? let's go with, well, I got to go with Melinda because Melinda had strong opinions about the first one that I enjoyed. Is she moved? Why or why not?
Sorry, my internet's really bad. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, number 4, Melinda.
Oh, okay. Does this list move the speaker to go live with the shepherd? What words or phrases in stanza 1 can help you support this? It seems that the girl isn't interested in going with the shepherd by beating him at his own game with the repetition and rhyme. She also goes against everything he says. She often says that with time, nature will go away and rot. In stanza 1, she says, and truth in every shepherd's tongue, suggesting that she might not even believe what the shepherd is saying is truthful. And then the if that she uses at the start.
Yeah, that if is rough. Yeah. She's shooting him down, but in like a very, very clever way. Good answer, Melinda. I really like that. Okay, something I wanted to emphasize here. Let's go back to what we know about these guys. So remember, pastoral poetry is all about the beauty, the love of the springtime. It's the natural world at its most perfect height. It's very ideal. It's idealistic. Christopher Marlowe is writing in that way. And these two poems are having an intertextual conversation. Okay, so Raleigh is picking up the threads of what Marlowe is saying and directly responding. So this I mentioned at the beginning, but I wanted to return back to it. So Marlowe is a very classic poet. His poem is very straightforward, the natural world, the beautiful world, all of these things are things that we should love and appreciate and enjoy. It's where romance happens. Youth is at the ideal for him. And then you have someone like Raleigh. And I have this little image here because I do think it's important to see that he's someone who went to the New World. He has this adventurer spirit and personality, and he's sort of seen a lot more than Marlowe. Marlowe never went anywhere. He stayed in England, and he wrote in a very traditional way. Raleigh is kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. He wants to get away from this. This is boring to Raleigh. Raleigh wants a thirst for adventure. I don't want any of this beautiful pastoral poetry. I want to get out there and see the world. Plus, all of that is just kind of boring to me. That's sort of what Raleigh's pushback here is. Okay, your homework for this week is I want you to go back in, and I actually have on poetry.com, you can look at the poems again. And I recommend if you, let me see if you can listen. Do they have a button to listen? They used to have a button where you could just listen to someone reading it. All right, we'll go back in and read them both again. And then you're going to do a direct analysis of both of those poems. We kind of talked about both side by side, but we haven't really done a lot of the work of having that intertextual conversation. So that shouldn't take you too long to answer those if you wanted to just go ahead and do it right now while the poems are fresh. Next week, when we come back, we're going to get into our writing part. So doing literary analysis about poetry, and we're going to read a third poem by Carlos Williams. And so your essay will be about 3 poems, all in conversation with each other across 500 years. Does that sound crazy? And then Matthew's going to read us all the original poem that he wrote about the countryside. That's a joke, Matthew. I'm just kidding. Okay. Questions about the homework or about where this is going for the first 4 weeks? Any questions? No? Okay, cool. All right, well, we're done a little bit early. I'm gonna just hang out here if you want to talk with me directly. But I hope to see you all next week. And don't forget to do your homework, which is reflection on those 2 poems. All right, good work today. Thank you. Oh, thanks for joining, Caitlin. I know you were having technical difficulties. You're good? All right, bye, Matthew.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. All right, hi.
Yeah, I'm here.